Hey, new interns. So for those of you who don't know, July 1st is the official day that most of the people who graduated from medical school in the spring or last year will be starting their residency programs. And now that I have some distance from this, so for me, this was in July 1st of 2006 when I started my residency program. So have quite a bit of distance from that. And I just want to think about the time. I remember how like anxiety provoking it was, how nervous I was. I remember that first time I was on call and I got a call from the nurse with some lab results or, asking what they should do or asking me to come there because someone was in, for psychiatry purposes, they were in restraints and they needed their assessments, and be like, wow, I'm the person that they're calling, and just the weight of that responsibility. So I just want to impart some motivation to the new interns and just a few little tidbits that might be helpful as you start this journey. So the first thing I would say is that the spot that you have, you earned it, right? You graduated from medical school, you interviewed. So there are going to be times, particularly in this first year, that you're going to question your abilities. You're going to question what you're doing. You might just question why you are in medicine at all. And just remember that you earned that spot and you deserve to be there. And then secondly, a lot of programs, you're rotating through a lot of different sites, right? So a lot of different computer systems, EMRs. And so you're expected to get up to speed pretty quick. And we know some people can do that a little bit more efficiently than others. And so that's why I think it's really vital that you make nice, that you're respectful, you're cordial, and you really respect the experience of the staff who is working in whatever site that you're in, the nurses, the techs, the CNAs, just whoever is there on a regular basis, because you're not. And a lot of things happen. They know the routines. They know where supplies are located. May know different ways to contact people. So again, you have that doctor title, but you may be a person in that space who has the least amount of understanding of what the typical day-to-day is in that location. I would tell you, particularly when I was in the VA hospital system, those nurses made life so much easier for me. They made life so much easier for me because there's so much bureaucratic stuff that happens there that you don't realize why things aren't happening or why it's taking so long. And again, as medical students, we are typically pretty used to this by now about getting like feedback on our performance and things like that. But just be open to the feedback and even solicit feedback from your the upper level residents, from your attendings on a more regular basis, so you can kind of get a sense of how you're doing. It doesn't feel good to be somewhere for quite some time and then start to get feedback about your performance or what you've been doing and you really thought that you were doing okay. So, feel free to check in. Again, we're used to getting feedback, so typically people are going to be giving it to you, but feel free just to kind of check in. You don't want to get to the end of a rotation site and people feel like you don't have the competency based on the things you're supposed to be doing towards the end. And someone gave me this piece of advice, and I would say that I think it is so vital. I want to share it too. So if you're like myself and you're matched into a program from the beginning that you're going to be specializing in. So for example, I know some people are doing like a preliminary year. They're going to go on to something else. But for me as a psychiatrist, I know that's what I'm going to be doing, right, for my career. Anytime you get a chance to get experience in what you're not going to be specializing in, take advantage of that. So on psychiatry, we had to do 6 months of family medicine or internal medicine, and then also 2 months of neurology. And then we had some elective time. Please take every advantage of those, off specialty rotations, because particularly in psychiatry, after a certain point, unless maybe you're doing consultations in the hospital where you're still doing physical exams, you can get to a point where, like at this point, I don't even know where my stethoscope is. I haven't used it in years. Now, could I take it and listen to heart sounds? And, I know what the positions are. I mean, there's some clinical skills that just stay with you, but as far as really kind of interpreting or knowing what's going on, I mean, that's rusty, And so when I was on I did family medicine, it would be very easy to say, okay, this is a complex case or a procedure. I'm going to let somebody else do it who's going to be going into this. But no, you get that experience, particularly if you end up working at a freestanding psychiatric facility outside of the nurses, and depending on what kind of facility it is, you may not be working with like RNs, you may be working with LPNs. They have different levels of assessment skills. You might be the only like medical person there. Typically you're working with people who are, psychologists, social workers, all kind of occupational therapists and stuff like that. So if an acute medical issue comes up, then they're going to be looking at you to be the person who knows when to get a consultation, when people need to be sent to the emergency room. What's a real emergency? Those things like, shortness of breath, chest pain, altered mental status. I mean, you really need to know how to work those things up, or when you need to seek assistance in managing something. And there are just a lot of common conditions like hypertension, particularly like diabetes, all kind of metabolic disorders that a lot of people, they're just common in general, in America, but a lot of people who have mental health diagnoses might have those conditions, right? We know a lot of medications we prescribe can have metabolic consequences. So just being able to manage, or at least get something started, and then you can get your consultation later, but you don't want to leave those rotations without getting like a really good basic core understanding of managing like basic medical conditions and knowing when you need to get a consultation or to send people out for an emergency assessment. One of the electives I took during my residency program was sleep medicine, and when I tell y'all, in my day-to-day practice, when I was in clinical practice, that came up. And to get, a sleep study, what an MSLT is, the multiple sleep latency test they used to kind of work up for narcolepsy. I'm telling you, that was probably one of the best decisions I made, was to do like a month of sleep medicine when I was in residency program. I ended up using that almost every day. Anyway, best wishes to you on your first day. I hope that it really goes well. And again, I just want to say this. There are going to be times, particularly in this intern year, when you're going to question yourself, you're going to question your skills, and just remember that the spot that you have, it belongs to you because you earned it and you deserve to be there.